Accused serial killer Bruce MacArthur is facing another first-degree murder charge, bringing the total to 6. State of emergencies, mass evacuations, and power outages after heavy rains pour down and flood Bradford. And Canada shatters its best ever medal record at the Olympic Winter Games. Humber News starts right now.
I'm Adriana DeSanto. Here at the newsroom at Humber's North Campus, it's February 23rd. Here's what's making news. Toronto police have charged Bruce MacArthur with another count of first-degree murder, making it his 6th. Police have now identified the remains of 3 individuals, including Andrew Kinsman, Sarush Mahmoodi, and now Skandaraj Skandanaratnam.
Skandanaratnam was 40 years old when he was last seen on September the 6th, 2010 in the area of Church and Wellesley. He was reported missing 10 days later by a close friend.
His remains were found by Toronto police in the planters at a Leaside home. MacArthur was arrested last month and charged with murdering 5 men, all of whom have ties to the LGBTQ community. The disappearances of the men occurred over several years. Toronto police have been under fire in the midst of disappearances by some who say the police should have been looking for a serial killer sooner. MacArthur's next court appearance will be February 28th. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is wrapping up an 8-day visit to India. The focus was on cementing stronger trade ties between the two countries.
As Canada looks to diversify its own economy and looks for new opportunities to do business beyond its borders, India is a natural partner and a trusted friend for commercial cooperation.
Trudeau says 3 Indian tech giants have committed more than $1 billion in investment between Canada and India. However, critics say the Prime Minister could have accomplished more instead of visiting cultural landmarks. Many Indians took to Twitter to criticize the Prime Minister's fashion choices, claiming that the clothes were too flashy even for Bollywood. Like all mass school shootings, the Stoneman Douglas tragedy has been extremely controversial. U.S. President Donald Trump says he wants teachers to be armed. Student survivors of the shooting that killed 17 are demanding their voices be heard. This latest school shooting has renewed the never-ending debate on gun control in America. In response to calls for greater restrictions, President Trump has changed the legal age to purchase assault weapons to 21 from 18. The president also signed a memo this week that will ban legal devices that turn weapons into machine guns. This includes bump stocks, which the gunman in Las Vegas concert shooting last year used to kill 58 people. But the president says the best way to stop school shootings is to arm teachers with guns.
School, if 20% of the teachers have guns, it may be 10% or maybe 40%. And what I'd recommend doing is the people that do carry, we give them a bonus. We give them a little bit of a bonus. Frankly, they'd feel more comfortable having the gun anyway.
But in a CNN town hall earlier this week, student survivors of the Florida shooting called loudly for gun control, confronting politicians and the NRA with tough questions.
Why do we have to be the ones to do this? Why do we have to speak out to the Capitol? Why do we have to march on Washington just to save innocent lives?
Senator Nelson, I was shot twice. I was grazed on my back and ricocheted on my chest. My best friend was killed right in front of me. And the experience that I had can never be taken away from me, no matter how much I want it to be. What are you gonna do to strengthen background checks to prevent another tragedy like this from occurring again?
I had a question for Ms. Lush, but she's not here yet. So for her and the NRA, which she's probably watching, and all of you puppet politicians that they are backing, was the blood of my classmates and my teachers worth your blood money?
Senator Rubio, it's hard to look at you and not look down the barrel of an AR-15 and not look at Nicholas Cruz, but the point is, you're here, and there are some people who are not. And I need to ask 2 things of you. Number 1, Chris Grady, can you stand up? This is my friend who's going to the military. I need you to tell him that he's going to live to make it to serve our country. And then we'll get to the other one. can you tell me right now that you will not accept a single donation from the NRA in the future?
I'm gonna interrupt you real quick and remind you that the question is actually, do you believe it should be harder to obtain these semi-automatic weapons and modifications to make them fully automatic, such as bump stocks?
Students ended the session with an original song and a powerful message.
We refuse to be ignored by those who will not listen. There are so many things you can do to become involved. Reach out to your congressman, mail, call, and tweet.
The smallest of words can make the biggest difference.
Be the voice for those who don't have one.
Together we have the power to change the world around us.
Thousands are returning home today after the evacuation ban was lifted during severe flooding in Bradford. Despite water slowly going back to normal and safer levels, police continue searching for a 3-year-old boy who was swept away by the strong current on Wednesday. Humber News reporter Omar Jaber was on location with more on the flooding.
Nearly 5,000 residents were still not able to return home Thursday due to major flooding. Water levels of the Grand River rose up to 6.9 meters, causing temporary closures of bridges and main roads. Residents say that although water levels rising is not uncommon for the Bradford area, it has been quite a while since it has gotten so bad.
Never really had the dike system, so a lot of times it would get up to the bridges and all that stuff. It would be almost like an occurrence as we were going up, and then they grew the dikes and everything else. But it's been a long, long time since I've seen it this hot.
With road and bridge closures making it difficult to get around, people have resorted to finding shortcuts in order to get to their destinations.
Because if you don't drive, right, and you're left walking, then we got no other way to get across except for hopping a railing or something like that to get across, right? Other than that, it's going to be a hell of a long walk to get all the way around town, right?
I'm standing on the side of Erie Avenue in Brantford in front of what appears to be a lake, but in actuality used to be farmland. With over 2,000 homes affected and up to 4,900 residents impacted by the rising water levels, what you're seeing now is a fraction of what the residents of Brantford experienced early Tuesday morning. Brantford's 4-legged residents have also been affected by the flooding. With shelters housing only people, the SPCA stepped in to accommodate and care for the animals until further notice.
Our SPCA is actually located in the middle of the flood zone, so we also had to evacuate our own site as well. So we evacuated all of our animals from the SPCA, the pound animals, and the animals we're caring for, and we brought them up to a secondary site, which is at the Brantford Airport. We have a hangar there that we're in, and we're caring for them. I have all my staff and the volunteers, and so all the animals that are coming through this program are up there and being cared for.
Omar Jaber, Humber News.
Coming up next, Joe Modio will have our special edition wrap of the Pyeongchang Olympic Games.